And we are so grateful for you all to be here in person and online to gather on a November day and to welcome Patrick Reyes into our midst. And Patrick is his family to some here in the back. Yeah, and Kristen and Jack, all family married to Kristen's sister, Beth's daughter, Jack's aunt, right? And you're an uncle.
I am an uncle.
Okay. And Patrick and I met a number of months ago up at a coffee shop and we had a great time and started talking about what we could do together and what he was doing and all those good things. And I kept thinking to myself, we need to get Patrick here. We need to get Pat here to give us his wisdom, his experiences to help our church understand more things more deeply. And so I am so grateful that we finally worked it out. And the first of many, hopefully, being here in Santa Fe and living here, but living and working across the country. So Pat is Dean of Auburn Seminary in New York City, one of the well-known seminaries connected to the Presbyterian Church as well, and has so many things to say that I don't want to say anymore. But welcome you. So Pat Reyes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you all. I'm going to stay in front of this for a minute.
Yes, please. Yeah. That's how they see you over there.
And then for folks who are online, we're going to be doing some stuff in the space I'll be inviting you in to speak into. So that way, take yourself off mute and offer some insight. So Patrick Reyes is Dean of Auburn Theological Seminary, a 205-year-old institution that when it was founded had no idea that a little Chicano Patty D. Reyes in Santa Fe, New Mexico would be its dean. So I'm sure the founders are, well, hopefully they're happy with this. I'm going to share with you a practice and some work that comes out of Auburn Theological Seminary. A biblical scholar by the name of Walter Wynn, who was at there from 1974 to his passing in 2012. Did these workshops all over. We're going to do that. You are going to have to get up and play, and we're going to be using the camera so we can understand our text. And I'm grateful for this morning because we're going to work with some of the characters. One of the things that's happening in the world right now is children do grow up and become leaders. So what do we do with the trauma they experience as children, and how do they lead moving forward? So we're going to work a little bit in a text that you won't hear throughout the year because it's not part of the lectionary, but we're going to jump into a text called Numbers 12, and we're going to play with this a little bit. So I'm going to read it out loud. I'm going to ask for some volunteers to play. Is that cool? Yeah? Are you sure? Okay, that's what I'm talking about. All right. This is Numbers 12. So just to give you some context, Numbers is a leadership text. You have folks who are now, the Hebrews are now out in the wilderness, and they're unhappy. You just got through a whole text, but they're really unhappy with Moses. And some of you probably have heard this text before. So there's Numbers 12, verse 1. Miriam and Aaron began to talk against Moses because of his Cushite wife, for he had married a Cushite. Has the Lord spoken only through Moses? They asked, and really Miriam asked. Has he also spoken through us? And the Lord heard this. Now Moses was a very humble man, more humble than anyone else on the face of the earth. I don't know why that's in the text, but I think it's a little trumpet flown in there. Picking back up on verse 4. At once the Lord said to Moses, Aaron and Miriam, come out to the tent of the meeting, all three of you. So all three of them went out. And then the Lord came down in a pillar of cloud. He stood at the entrance of the tent and summoned Aaron and Miriam. When the two of them set forth, he said, listen to my words. When there is a prophet among you, I, the Lord, reveal myself to them in visions. I speak to them in dreams. But this is not true of my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house. With him I speak face to face, clearly, and not in riddles. He sees the form of the Lord, and then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? The anger of the Lord burned against them, and he left them. When the cloud lifted from above the tent, Miriam's skin was leprous. It became as white as snow. Aaron turned toward her and saw that she had a defiled skin disease. And he said to Moses, please, my Lord, I ask you, now hold us in sin we have so foolishly committed. Do not let her be like a stillborn infant coming from its mother's womb, and its flesh have eaten away. Moses cried out to the Lord, please God, heal her. The Lord replied to Moses, if her father had spit in her face, would she not have been in disgrace for 7 days? Confine her outside the camp for 7 days. After that, she can be brought back. So Miriam was confined outside the camp for 7 days, and the people did not move until she was brought back. After that, the people left and encamped in the desert of Paran. All right, so we're going to work with this text a little bit. I need some volunteers. I need a Moses, a Miriam, and an Aaron. We will need to stand up in camera view.
I'll be Moses.
Come on up, Moses. You got a tough job.
Thank you.
You can stand right here. We need a brother. Come on up, Aaron. Stand right there. That's great.
Yeah, that's great.
My camera right here.
You're perfect in camera range.
All right.
Hi, bro.
Hi,
Miriam as well.
Nice.
All right, come on, Miriam. Come on. All right, I'm gonna stand in the back of the room so they can still see me. Stand up next to them. So I want to get some facts here. If you had your biblical text, I think they can see me. There we go. In the chapter just before, I got some bad news. Moses, you're not very good at what you do. You've been called.
I've been told that many times.
In chapter 11, here's what happens to you. You say, let all the other people prophesy. I don't want this job anymore. In fact, what you say in chapter 11 is, I don't want to be a midwife to the for the people. Give them all. And so just complain about your job. So this is some context just for where you're at.
I can do that.
Aaron, you've been just kind of hanging out with your homie, your brother here, nonstop, getting his back no matter what. So every time something comes up, you're right there to say, hey, this is our chosen person, right? And there's like 5 layers of Moses. I can talk about that later, but we'll do this. Miriam, you're very special. But I need people to know how special you are. So what do we know in this room about Miriam? We just learned a little bit this morning.
Right?
Sister.
Sister?
My sister.
Was she led the baby?
She saved the baby.
Yeah. My older sister.
What else do we know about Miriam?
She hides in the reeds.
She makes sure that Moses' mother is able to be the
The,
wet nurse. Yeah,
She's a strategist, therefore.
that's right.
getting there, strategist. What about when the water split? Who was the first one out? Dancing and singing. Miriam was the first one out. She danced us to freedom. Now, here's the curious thing about where we're at in Numbers 12. That text ends with you getting danced out of the community. So can you come on back to where I am? Yeah, I know. This is messed up. Come on back here. So you can come stand back here. So you got 7 days. So you have Moses and Aaron. Miriam can stand right here. So that way they can see you. Yeah. We have our Miriam here, who's done all the right things. You've been a good leader. You saved your brother, your dance, you sing, your strategist. The 7 days cast out. You're the only one. These fellas didn't, and they didn't even want this job. I got a question for this room.
Gender inequality.
That's it. If you had to choose who you would follow, can you show the folks on camera who you follow by getting up and surrounding them? Would you follow Mary? Would you follow Moses? Mary. I'm asking this group, if you could stand up, let me show you both of your feet. Everything you know about Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, who would you follow?
Sorry. Well, you're married to her. You have to follow her.
There's only wrong answers.
Did you say there's only
Only wrong answers.
I won't hold it against you.
Nobody wants to follow Aaron. Oh, look, I don't have anybody following me. And I'm a good.
I have another ancestry.com. I'm gonna say biological. Yes.
So we're going from before.
Yep.
Put in.
Numbers 12 as well. This is when they're adults. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do a little unpacking here. I'm gonna start with this group. We have some people who are still getting Moses back. I'm curious about that. I'm curious about why people got behind Miriam. So if you could offer in why.
I had a political campaign going.
There's some cool tech stuff around why you were staying for 7 days. But tell me about why you're over here with Moses.
He's the big name.
That's the big name. That's right.
BMOC, big
That's
man
right.
on campus.
Yeah.
Who else? God doesn't speak to you in riddles. That's what text says. That's right. How about y'all? Why are you over here with Mary?
She's a woman, and she has to put up with all kinds of garbage. They don't support her. And she knows what's going on really,
That's
and
right.
women are the glue.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes.
Sorry, guys.
She had a mission.
She had it.
Saw the baby and she took action.
I didn't get to campaign.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron, you're just hanging out here like, what the heck? I'm just the spokesperson.
Speaker. I don't stutter.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Any other thoughts while you're with Miriam? So I'm gonna give you one real cool text thing. Rabbinical study says that this is why the people didn't move for 7 days. Because knowing the facts about who Miriam is, the folks went and surrounded her. This was the person who took care of children, the elderly, the folks who danced, healed. She was a healer in the thing. She's the only prophet without a book. So this happened. This is kind of the text. How they interpret those 7 days. It's because this is. Now just stay standing one more time because I got 2 more facts I got to offer up to you because I think this is apropos of where we're at right now in the world. In 13, what do you think this group here? This is the split. You have the people here, and you have a few folks here. What do you think the men think is the right thing to do next?
Kill somebody.
Join Miriam.
That right there. That's literally what they said. Let's go out and conquer the land. They send spies out in chapter 13. And if this is the split, chapter 14 offers some really cool insight as well. What do you think these two have to do to convince you all to keep following? Because, of course, people don't want to go out to war after you've already marginalized.
So they have to get Miriam on the side.
You would think that's what they would do.
So that's what they should do.
That's what they should
They'll
do.
never do it.
No, so,
They would never do that.
no, especially if somebody tells us,
That's right.
then we're not gonna do. Now, we're gonna promise riches and glory and untold things if you follow us, because we have the vision.
That's right.
The true way, we're the light. Follow us and you will
Right.
reap rewards.
That's right.
We are the insiders.
We got the inside track.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes. All right, take a seat. We'll play a little bit more. That was perfect. I'm gonna encourage you all to go to the text. If you go into chapter 14 in Numbers, that's exactly what happens. You have Moses and Aaron on their knees in front of the community saying, hey, we are still your leaders. Please continue to follow us. Now, making connections to today and some of the stuff that's happening in the world, I imagine we're about to get a lot of those speeches this next election cycle from our current leaders, who will be on their knees trying to convince us that while they may have marginalized Miriam, who has been healing us, the people who have been out there, healers, peacemakers, the folks who dance and sung us out, will be on their knees saying, please, still follow us. We know we wanted to go to war. We thought that was the right answer. But we're still good people. We still have good answers. Let us fix our own problem. What do y'all think about it?
Big mistake.
It's a huge mistake.
Big mistake.
Yep. Yeah.
Because past performance is no guarantee of future success, as they always say.
That's right.
In all the investment literature, but I think your track record is very important. It just goes to show that you're going to stick with what you know.
That's right.
You're going to stick with what you try, even if it doesn't work. You're going to convince yourself that it has to work, or that everybody else is wrong and you're right. They just don't understand it, or they've been lied to, or something else. And if people would just listen, this is the way forward.
That's right.
About 2 weeks ago, the Queen of Florida was interviewed. not extensively, I've forgotten what the program was, but anyway, her vision of what needs to happen in the Middle East is far beyond anything that's being acted out right now.
What did she say?
Uh, Don't make war.
Palestinian.
Well, the people that are in charge, if we're talking about the Middle East, the people that are in charge right now are the ones that are responsible for getting us into this situation. And over the last 50 years, there's been so many missed opportunities, mistakes, they didn't follow up, hubris, pride, narcissism, quest for power, corruption, and all this. By the same group of, on both sides, on the Israeli side and on the Palestinian side. And who have really only thought about themselves and ignored the people. And this is the situation that we're in now. And to follow these people, this is one thing. It's not going to change.
Connecting to this morning, that's spot on. Connecting to this morning's sermon, I mean, we think about children in trauma. So we have Moses, Miriam, and Aaron, all who were raised in trauma, who were traumatized leaders. They were traumatized as children who are grown up making decisions now. And I think about what's happening right now. We have all these children, the focus on children, who will one day be 30 years from now, dreaming up new solutions. How do we reform them in Miriam's likeness as opposed to Moses and Aaron? That's kind of my question. People who are able to survive. There's great literature around there. I just love it. I'm going to keep talking. We're going to play one more time to think about how we might reimagine this leadership. So I'm actually going to clear out the well here. We're going to take. Let's get. This room's kind of small. Let's get 4 people. These 4 volunteers to stand up. Help me out here. Come on, doesn't matter who. Don't worry, I'm not going to put you in biblical character.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so here's your challenge. In this space right here, you're only going to have. I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to figure this out. But the world's a mess right now. We've been just talking about a very particular kind of moment that we're in, the violence that we're in. I'm going to invite you to create how you feel together about this moment doing a human statue, vignettes. So I want you to hold, whether it's anxiety, fear, joy, this moment that we're in this little space here, make a human statue about how you all relate in this moment. And if you need real focus, we can make it about Gaza, how you're interpreting all this news you're coming in from Gaza. Is it clear?
So you're talking about the
A
moment.
human statue.
We create a statue of ourselves.
I'm going to invite you to freeze. And you're going to be silent. You are going to be a statue. But you're going to have to come up with what that is together. Cool? And I'm going to talk to this group while you do that. So you can go, maybe over there and plan it, and then come here and I'll ask you to perform it. 5 minutes, all right?
Your mom was rolling her eyes.
Well, I just like.
I am. Okay, so for this group, one of the things that we work on at Auburn is thinking about what's the leadership role? What is our role? So if we know kind of like there's insight in the text for us to play with this. What's our role? Someone who are in this moment being bombarded with information. I would say for us at Santa Fe, pretty far from direct action in these moments. So what we are going to think about is what is our role as witness? How do we intervene? How do we play with these really deep emotions with people who are close to us, who are taking in the world? Typically, I like to have kids in here, when they do the statutes, who's always very telling about what they're not telling us in this moment. So when I invite them back to freeze, I'm going to invite you all to stand up and bear witness to the trauma that's happening in the world. And I'm going to do a second invitation once you kind of unpack what you're seeing. But we're going to start with that. So it's going to start with witness.
Be on my knees.
And folks online, you can always take yourself off mute, and they'll be performing right. So you'll be able to say what you see. Let me do that practice. These are great
actors.
No, they aren't. Yes.
Oh, there's a quote that somebody gave
All
me.
time on them. They will take whatever.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a quote that somebody gave me in terms of how do we break the cycle? Because it says, I'm not a political expert, but if, and this is about children with
Yep.
trauma. I'm not a political expert, but if you eliminated Hamas, but killed my whole family in the process, my first move would be to start Hamas too.
Yes.
Amen.
So, in answer to your question, how do we break the cycle
Yes.
of violence?
And one thing I heard about the is that one who does not want to try to negotiate with Hamas because they're the enemy. And somebody said, well, you can always negotiate with your friends. You know, that's not what negotiation is. And when you have that as a prerequisite, oh, no, we won't.
This is where it becomes really, I think, our story, or at least the wrestling with Moses, an example. Moses is mentioned more than any other person in the Bible. So it's supposed to be our leader of leaders. That if we wrestle with how Moses dealt with that moment, number 13 and number 14, he was not negotiating with anyone. In fact, he was pushing against his own community, saying, we are promised this space. So what do we do with this when we get a good example of a leader in Miriam, where all the evidence is there, that she does everything basically right? In fact, when she calls them out in that little moment, the whole reason why is that Cushite wife that's not Moses' first wife. And in the time, it was to have leadership, a leadership lineage, you need to have babies. And Moses wasn't having babies, wasn't, helping produce that lineage. So she was basically saying, hey, God told you to make a second leader because we're going to die pretty soon. And he wasn't doing it. So you have someone who's doing all the right things in the community, at least in the community standards, healing, loving, caring, calling people out, calling them into their leadership. What do we do with this? When we got the person that we've been shown so many times as the good leader fails us in our text. It's a wrestling that I think it is good for us to actually see, we haven't been getting this right for a very, very long time. Maybe we should wrestle with this a little different and center a different character in these stories. This is just evidence also that Numbers 12, 13, 14, you wouldn't hear any of those in Sunday because they're not electionary. They don't come up unless the pastor decides to bring them up, or you're doing a personal Bible study. So it's a fascinating thing for me. I'm going to invite them back. Are you all ready?
Yeah.
Okay, come on over here. We got our statue, so I'm going to invite you to do it right here in the well. I'm going to invite you to freeze your statue.
It's a slow.
You can always use a prop. That's always good.
It's a slow freeze.
The slow freeze. That's cool. Okay, I'm going to ask them to freeze. And witnesses, those who are bearing witness, if you can stand up and just tour around the statue. And I'm going to invite you to name just explicitly what you see. Say it out loud so people can hear. Folks online, if you can hear it, I can kind of walk you a little bit, I think. See if I can get you here. There we go.
Compassion, sorrow,
Fear.
pleading with God.
Defenselessness, helplessness. Support. Anger. Passion. Fear.
All right, statue stay frozen. So the next invitation is for our witnesses. We've talked a little bit about what bad leadership is and what good leadership is. So I'm going to invite one or two, maybe three people to join the statue as part of it. What would good leadership? You can't change the statue. This is the reality of the world. What's an intervention look like? Step into the statue and show us, add to it. What would a leadership intervention, what would a Miriam-like leadership intervention look like? I'm gonna ask the statue to hold real quick, just 2 more minutes. Folks who were part of the original statue, if you stay frozen, but tell me, how does this feel? How does this intervention feel to you?
Hopeful.
Hopeful,
Compassion,
compassionate,
caring.
caring from the bottom. Any additional observations anyone wants to make from the outside before we let the statue sit? All right, let's give them a round of applause.
Yeah.
Someone get a photograph of that.
That's gonna be on mine.
I don't know what that's doing that. All right, what was that like? What was that like to see the statue be part of it?
When you begin to see or feel the complexity.
Yep.
Of the situation.
I thought it was challenging to try to represent the characters and connect them.
Did you hear as part of the statue, did you hear when folks were naming what they were seeing? Was that what you all were trying to depict? Were those the? Yeah.
We were trying to go from the person who was dealing, actually, the person who was there was more talking about mobility and movement. But the it was to sort of have somebody who was in pain and looking back, and somebody who was prayerful to the next person who was then contemplating, sort of trying to look forward, and then sort of relaxing and was looking up to, for hope and peace and something.
Yeah.
So we were sort of in a circle, and there was a little outside that circle, so we wanted to break that cycle of pain and grief and looking forward, and then back to pain and grief and suffering. Outside.
Yeah. For those who intervene, what that feel like to have to be told, like, if you gotta do something about this moment, it's not gonna be perfect either. You can't change all those cycles. Is that like to intervene or to witness the intervention for those who didn't?
It felt like a bit of a Band-Aid, I mean, I know people are hungry and they're thirsty, so you're working in the moment, but like long term, what difference is it gonna make? But you had to think in the moments.
Yeah.
It wasn't an immediate kind of clear, oh yeah, I know exactly what I want to do or represent. You have to think, what do you do with all of this?
Yeah. Kind of the shock of having to take that all in at once, like, oh. And where are my gifts needed? Is it in the deep grief or is it in trauma? Is it on the floor? Yeah.
I was wondering what your grief, to me, I was thinking that you were fearful. What were you?
I was fearful and hopeful, and I was the future and the opportunity. Where is given the fact that an impossible situation, where is the possibility?
Because somehow I wanted to, when I was feeling here, I was trying to think how one responds to that. The only thing I can think that I can do physically is try to stand between you and whatever is happening. That's the only thing I could think.
That's good, that's good. Because I think often we focus on the problem. There is no solution. There's a reason why every possible solution wouldn't work. And that's the dilemma the leadership is in. And the possibility is a fearful one, and it's sort of like, okay, what is it we can do? Not, so the problem itself is fearful, but here's my basket, and here's the baby for the future. I don't know what's gonna happen, but it will.
And I think there's sometimes when words don't mean as much as physical presence, and that's what I felt. And was giving is not just my presence.
It felt really good, Elise, when you came in and also put your arm on me as well as on the child. So I was trying to help, but I felt like, oh. But so there's like these layers, like the people who come in with peacemakers, they need support as
I really like this exercise because so often we sit here and everything is cognitive and not experiential. You know, some of us know each other better than others, but just to have that human touch gave us a way to connect in a new way.
Love it. Yeah, thank you for this. I'll leave you with a little fact and then we'll close out with a meditation. I have a close friend and partner who he's at the University of Notre Dame, runs a organization called WorkWell, works with first responders. So folks who are in healthcare, teachers and pastors, folks who are on the front lines doing this work every day, and ask this question. I think Matt Bloom, research asks this question: what helps them stay in this moment, stay in this work when they're having to see, folks in Red Cross who have to engage day to day? What keeps them in the work for 30 years or more? We interviewed all these people, some days it's like something like 15,000 people. And it was something you all mentioned is, what can I do today? What's the intervention I can do today? I know I can't break down this huge statue, or I can't reimagine our history or our biblical text. But what I can do is I can make an intervention today, put my hand on a neighbor. That makes a huge difference. And what they found at WorkWell was that is for those who are on a high scale and feel like they're involved in their vocation, they're doing what God has called them to do. Those are the people who have kind of given themselves to, I'm doing what I can today, every single day, like just at a daily basis. So when you think about your thriving and leadership, or how do I take all this in, I'm being okay with what I can do today. That's actually a really good thing. That's a good first step in the first intervention. Last thing I want to offer is a gift Carmelita. So, Beth is my mother-in-law, so I don't know if y'all know this. So, Beth's granddaughter, Carmelita, gets a meditation. Well, my son does too at times. See, Carmelita's much more patient with me. But it's the practice of engaging children in imagination. It's something my grandmother did for me. And again, goes back to the preaching this morning. What do we do with the babies in our arm? Touch. And what do we offer them? So I'm going to invite us to reimagine ourselves as that younger Moses, that baby, through a meditation that my grandmother offered to me. So go ahead and get comfortable. I'll lead you in the visualization. It'll be quick, and then we'll wrap it up, and I'll be here for any questions you have. So go ahead, and those online, you can do this as well. So get comfortable, close those eyes if you're able to. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Notice any tension you feel in your forehead and relax it. Relax that jawline. Notice any tension in your neck, shoulders. Relax your arms, wiggle those fingers out. Notice any tension in your lower back, release that. And feel your feet on the ground. In your imagination, I want you to call to mind the face of someone who loves you. Bring their face into full focus. This could be a loved one, a parent, a grandparent, a child, a friend. But notice the face of someone who calls you beloved. Notice their hair, shape of their face, the color of their skin. Notice the color of their eyes, shape of their cheeks, their nose, and see them smiling at you. Notice this person who loves you more than anything is smiling at you just because you are. They're smiling at you because they love you more than anything. As you look at this person who is smiling at you, this person who loves you more than anything, I want you to imagine them saying the words that you need to hear right now, that only they can say to you. What words come to mind from this person who loves you more than anything? Be words of affirmation, question, be a challenge. But what words do you need to hear from this person that only they can offer you? Let those words wash over you like a gift. And because they're gifts, see yourself in your imagination returning thanks and gratitude to this person who loves you more than anything. See yourself giving them a hug, returning a smile, a kiss, but see yourself in your mind's eye expressing gratitude for the gift of their presence and the gift of their words. Notice how this feels to express gratitude for this love. Noticing sensations that are coming for you in your body. And remember what this feels like to be loved, to express gratitude for that love. The time with this person who loves you more than anything is coming to a close. So see them slowly disappear from your mind's eye with you saying goodbye. Say goodbye to this person in the way that feels right to you. Again, it could be with a hug, smile, a wave. And as they slowly fade from your mind, know that you can return to this moment, to this person who loves you at any time, to hear the words that you need to hear from them, to exchange gratitude and love and acceptance back with them. And know the space is always, you are always welcome in this space. Take one more deep breath in. Deep breath out. Come back to the room when you're able. Well, thank you all for spending a little time with folks. I'll just leave you one last piece with some of the research that to pile on, but the research that I do around meaning and purpose that it often comes back when we think about this from this morning about that baby Moses not wanting and feeling loved in the reeds, but feeling loved and held in the arms of someone. And I often imagine myself stressful times and joyful times when I'm with Carmelita, being with my grandmother and calling her face to this practice that she speaks love and kindness and a lot of what the hell are you doing, Mimo? Over me. You know, she offers that challenge so that we can often return to these moments and again, tying it back to that meaning and purpose thing. What you can do today and finding people that you can say, I love you, and then you can say it back. That's what matters in sport. Thank you for playing with me. Thank you for having me. It's been fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. And for next week, and for next Sunday, we're going to start a whole time of spiritual direction in worship. We're going to be learning what spiritual direction can do with all the facing of all the issues that we have around us. How spiritual direction has been around, Ignatian spirituality that I was taught 500 years or more. What depths of spirituality, what depths of our faith can be gleaned from going through this kind of journey. And so I'll explain it all next week. We'll be doing some fun things. I try to keep up with Patrick there, but that I can in that way. But come and learn. You've heard about spiritual direction. The Catholics have known it for years. Protestants are just learning and discovering it. And so I hope we will too. I've done this before here at the church. And I'm going to remind you all about what it is. So in worship, the scriptures I choose will be in the 4 movements leading us to the renewal that happens at Easter time and beyond. So if you don't know anything about it, come. If you know a lot about it, come and join us and help share what it's all about. Next Sunday. The following Sunday, Easter. What's the next big holiday? Thanksgiving. That Sunday after Thanksgiving, we will have a class. We weren't going to, but we will now. Tomorrow's women will be here. Leaders of that wonderful program that brings Palestinian and Israeli women, young women together here. And they get to know each other, build relationships, and what that might mean for the future in the region that they go back to. And so it is so important we hear voices like this and help us understand the situation even deeper than what we've been able to so far. So those are the next 2 weeks. And I appreciate you all being here today and all the other weeks, and go forth in the world in peace. Amen. Thank you.